way too high maintenance for my dog. So 7 years ago, I was sitting in my kitchen, staring out the window at my brand new convertible that I had just bought. It was snowing outside, and I really couldn't see a way forward. I came from a long line of car buffs, not exactly the most ideal person to lose their sight, and I had no way forward. I really didn't know what my next steps were. I was diagnosed with a rare eye condition that there was very little treatment for, and the treatment was going to be chemotherapy, an intense chemotherapy that may actually cause cancer. I thought, gee, lose my sight or lose my life, that's a tough one. So I had a piece of paper in my hand that I'd been told to call, and I looked at it and looked at it and looked at it, and finally got up the nerve to pick up that telephone and call my friend's neighbor who was blind. Now, I'd never met anybody in my life who was blind. I'd seen one on the subway, somebody with a cane or a dog, and I really had no interaction with people who were visually impaired. So I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know what my future looked like, and I didn't know that there was a future. I really couldn't see beyond looking at that car sitting in my driveway that I couldn't drive anymore. And I picked up the phone, and the first thing they said to me, well, have you gotten your certificate of legal blindness? And I said, well, what's that? You get certified to be blind? Like, that's kind of weird. So he said, well, yeah, you got to turn that in so you get your Social Security disability card, and then you get services and help. And I said, well, what does that look like? And he says, well, you get a cane. I'm like, you mean one of those awful sticks that people walk around with? But I'm not blind. I just can't see very well. He's like, well, did you fall down the stairs last week and break your ribs? I said, well, yeah, that happened. But I'm okay. I made it through. So after my conversation with my friend Alan, I realized that there's people out there that are functioning as visually impaired persons. And not just functioning, high functioning. My next phone call, when I was scheduled for my surgery number 15 of 17 on my eyes, was to my friend Shelly. And I said, Shelly, they're pretty sure that after the surgery I'm not going to be able to see anything, and I need your help. So she came up and she brailled all of my medications, she organized my closets by color, and she taught me how to find things in my house and blindfolded me and got me ready for the next transition of my life. My next phone call was to a friend who was visually impaired, who had a guide dog, and he introduced me to the school that gave me my dog. And he also taught me how to use my iPhone so that it could talk to me. And I didn't know that any of these things were possible. So I found a way forward. I found a way to move past not being able to drive. I found a way to move past not being able to do certain tasks in the way that I'd been accustomed. And then I got to come here today, and I got to hang out with the coolest kids I've ever met in my entire life. And I realized that what a blessing a school like that is, and it makes me so happy to know that those kids are given all the tools that I didn't even know existed as an adult. And they're starting out with the best foot forward you could possibly imagine. They're learning how to use their fork. They're learning how to tell the time. All those things as an adult, I didn't know how to do as a blind person. They're getting to know at age 3, age 4, age 5. How freaking cool is that? Right? And you guys are making this possible. And as I delved into the world of people with vision impairments, I met more and more people that were high functioning, lawyers, people who were vice president of Microsoft, of engineering, people who were climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. And I discovered that I actually like to run. And I didn't know how that worked. And I got paired up with an organization that guides visually impaired blind runners. Well, here I am 2 years later after learning how to run as a blind athlete, and I'm on the US Olympic team. I found a way forward, and I found a way to function, and function better than most sighted people. And it's because of organizations like the state organizations and the school CCVI that teach things to these kids that these things are possible. And not only possible, they can do them. They absolutely, there's no reason you can't. So I get to do the coolest thing ever, is I get to drink for a living. I know y'all are jealous. And I get to travel around the country and around the world with the U.S. Olympic team and raise funds and awareness about organizations that have done so much for me and give it back to people who are just like me, who are trying to find their way forward and learn how to navigate in a world without sight. And so I thank you so much for having me here tonight. I am so excited. We have got the best lineup of chefs. I can't wait to see what goes down in Food Fight. It's gonna be ridiculous. You're gonna have to ship something back to Connecticut, okay? But we had a great time pairing the wines. I've got everything from a beautiful Liroc Blanc from the Rhone Valley. I'll talk to you guys individually about the wines, but just know that we had a lot of fun matching up some Kansas City barbecue with some big California reds in, delicious. You have to try the pairing, it is spot on. And I've been hearing about these donuts all day. This is why I run, bike, and swim, so I can eat barbecue and donuts. So enjoy the evening, and thank you all so much for having me. What I really appreciate most is what you're doing for CCVI. I am so honored to spend the day with these kids. Like Nicola was saying, my cheeks hurt from smiling. It makes my heart so full to know that these kids are given such a great start. And if I had known that those services were available as a younger person losing their sight, I probably would be leaps and bounds ahead of where I am now. But the fact that somebody took the time to teach me those things is why I'm here today and able to do the things that I do, like drink for a living and go run, bike, and swim for a living. Thank you all so much.